All right, 5, 4, 3, 2.
So, watching last night's episode of Empire, sitting here talking with Dr. RJ, and I wanted you to kind of take us through the flashbacks that we see Lucius Lyons having with his mother. He obviously is concerned about his son, who is bipolar, and his mother was bipolar. Is a bipolar disorder something that can be transferred through, is it hereditary illness?
Yes.
How does that work?
So you got it exactly right. Bipolar disorder doesn't have to be, but it can be. It can go from grandmama to mom, and it can go down the generations. And what happened last night on Empire is that Lucius, he was concerned, he was worried, he had flashbacks. In the psychology world, we call that trauma.
Okay.
It's when something really, really bad happens, but it's been bothering him since he was a child. And so for us, things bother us all the way from when we were small children, and they affect our grown-up life.
Right. What are some of the key, I guess, symptoms? Because that's not something that, I'm sure a lot of people are dealing with that, and they have no idea the person has bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
The mother just seemed kind of depressed and kind of, out of it. So what were some things that you saw that would have, that a psychologist would have been able to pinpoint as a symptom of bipolar disorder?
So bipolar disorder, it's not, a lot of people think it's multiple personalities or losing your mind. It's back and forth between really, really sad and depressed and having a whole lot of energy and doing things that are completely out of control.
Okay.
And so for Kelly Rowland, I don't know what mom's name was in the role, but for Kelly, they showed her kind of being out of touch with reality, and then they showed her being really sad and just not being able to hold it together.
Okay. And then the with his son's character, Andre being very angry and not being able to control his anger. Is that another sign that someone you were in a relationship with, if you see fits of anger or bursts of anger? What should we be looking for?
So that type of anger, we call that a bipolar rage, but it's the type of anger that's completely out of control. It's not just being mad, but it's like when you feel on the inside that you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. That can definitely be a symptom of bipolar disorder, and it's common. It happens to a lot of people.
Okay. So what can we do about it? How would you identify it? I think it's great that Empire is addressing this, but I think as a community we don't really talk about it. So what could someone do if they're in a relationship, or their child or someone they love, they feel like may need to be tested for this? And what happens after you become diagnosed? Do you get better? What are the steps to getting to a more balanced life?
So our minds and our bodies are the same thing. So it's kind of like if you break an arm, you have to get a cast. It takes time to heal a broken bone. It's the same thing with mental illness. It takes time to heal. It's just that the issue is the brain and not the bones. So it's the exact same type of treatment, but it's through therapy and through testing. So the thing with our community is we're so secretive and shaming, and we think that everything is crazy. But really it's just your brain is just not functioning the way it should, not working the way it should, just like if your bones aren't working the way they should.
Right.
Yeah.
So just looking at those characters that we see that Lee Daniels has presented, would you say that the issues that Lucius' mom had were passed on to him in some type of way? Because even though we don't see him as a diagnosed character, he definitely has some personality disorders that could seem a little different than the average person. So what would your diagnosis for the family be?
I think, that's really good. I think that Lucius is more resilient, and he definitely has the symptoms. He has the recipe for bipolar disorder, but something about him on the inside had him turn it. He got lucky, so he turned the criminal behavior into a business. But the symptoms are still there. It's the same thing. So from mom to dad to son, and possibly now to the grandchild.
I want to touch on one more thing, because I heard you say about him being resilient. A lot of times people think that mental illness is something that means you're weak. I know Andre thought that meant he was weak. Can you talk just briefly about how can you overcome it, and does it have anything to do with your own personal I guess, courage or bravery in being able to get over something like that?
I think you overcome it through treatment. It's kind of like, how do you overcome diabetes? How do you overcome blood pressure? High blood pressure or hypertension. You overcome it by listening to what the doctor asks you to do, and then you surround yourself with supportive people.
Okay.
And also, positive thinking helps, just in physical health and mental health. Mental illness does not mean you're weak. Not at all. Not any more than if I fall down the stairs and break my ankle. Does that mean I'm weak? No.
Right.
So.
Awesome. Okay.